Welcome to the Grayzone. It's Max Blumenthal. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is not merely a military one. There's also an obvious psychological component. And one of the most ferocious and disturbing components of this aspect of the conflict has been a website known as Myrotvorets, or the Peacemaker. It is maintained by the Ukrainian Interior Ministry with assistance from figures in the Ukrainian security services. And this website amounts to what many critics call a kill list. It is certainly a blacklist of critics from around the world of the US-backed post-Maidan regime in Kiev. And those profiles that you can find on this site include former UN weapons inspector Scott Ritter, an American citizen, along with many other Americans. Rock legend Roger Waters, the analyst and Russian nationalist activist Daria Dugina, whose profile was marked liquidated after she was killed outside Moscow in a car bombing recently. Along with these figures are literally hundreds of children whose profiles are listed on the Myrotvorets blacklist. These children's profiles include their photographs, their phone numbers, their home addresses, and information about their families. One of those children is Faina Savenkova, a 13-year-old from the Lugansk Republic, a breakaway republic which has been fighting against the regime in Kiev for its independence since 2014. Faina is no stranger to war, and she is also a target of the Ukrainian government's psychological war, as she has been listed on Myrotvorets. So today we're going to talk to Faina, as well as Mira Tejada from the Foundation to Battle Injustice, who will provide translation assistance and some background on this deeply disturbing government-backed website. Faina, what do you think about your inclusion on this list, which is known as a kill list, where several people who have been included on it have been killed and have been marked off by the authors of this list, which is maintained by the Ukrainian Interior Ministry? Why were you included on it? And what do you want to say about it?
Ну, это плохо. Не должно быть такого, потому что данные размещают в открытом доступе.
This is bad. It shouldn't be happening because your information is published and everybody has an access to it.
Почему тебя... Видеообращение в ООН о том, что война должна закончиться, дети имеют право на мирную жизнь.
Faina, she made a video approach. She recorded a video to the UN that the war in Ukraine must be over, the war on Donbas, because for the past 8 years, there were Ukrainians bombing Donbas. And she said that the war must be over and children has a right to the peaceful life. And after that, she was included on Myrotvorets.
What did they say about you? And how did it affect you personally?
Миротворец написал, что я говорю неправду, что...
Myrotvorets says that I lie. Что еще, кроме того, что ты врешь?
Что как бы я жертва российского режима.
That she is the victim of the Russian regime. И как это повлияло на твою жизнь?
Ну, было много угроз в соцсетях.
She had threats on social networks.
Стали родители очень волноваться, потому что это очень небезопасно.
My parents are very worried because it's not safe. Что-то еще?
And are there other children on this list? Are you the only child on the so-called Peacemaker list?
Да, там есть много детей.
Yes, there are many children.
Well, I want to ask you a question about the war, because this seems to be part of the war. It's sort of a psychological component of the war, which has been going on since you were 5 years old. You're 13 now. How has your life changed since you were 5 years old?
Ну, как бы война это плохо, погибают люди.
War
Просто
is war. It's really bad. People die.
Can
Что
you
еще?
tell me about it more? What your
Можешь
experience has
рассказать
been
чуть
like?
больше об этом, пожалуйста?
Ну, это страшно. Дети взрослеют быстрее
scared.
на войне.
Люди что?
Люди быстрее на войне взрослеют.
People grow up and mature at the war faster.
Папа, знаешь, что я хочу, чтобы с тобой было все хорошо. И такие здесь вместе. И ты как-то убивался и еще писал нам письма. И что я люблю школу? Или ты просто написала письма?
What have you learned about life and what have you learned about life under war, having lived in Lugansk for 8 years, a republic that has been targeted by the Ukrainian military with US supplied weapons?
Наверное, я стараюсь делать все быстрее, потому что следующий день может постоянно наступить.
I'm trying to do everything faster because I understand that I may not have a next day.
Have you experienced shelling or any of the attacks that have reached Lugansk?
Да.
Yes.
What was it like and what did you feel?
Ну, это очень страшно. Над домом летают ракеты.
This is very scary when you have shelling on top of your house.
How has the situation in Lugansk changed since the Russian military campaign inside Ukraine began on February 24th?
Ну, сейчас не стреляют в Луганске, по крайней мере. Стали строить дороги, помогать Луганску.
Nobody is shooting in Lugansk anymore. They started building the roads. People are getting back to life.
Many Americans living close to me in the area where I am wave Ukrainian flags outside their homes. What do you want to say to them about US military support for Kiev?
Наверное, нужно думать своей головой, ведь как бы нужно всю ситуацию полностью понимать. Многие закрывают глаза на то, что на Донбассе происходило, если поверить каждым новостям.
They should think with their own head, and they should check what's really going on. Что ты сказала после того, как они должны думать своей головой и проверять, что на самом деле происходит?
То, что они слепо верят всяким новостям, хотя они даже могут быть неправдой.
They blindly believe to any news, even when the news are false.
What is a lie or falsehood, in your opinion, that you would like to correct about this conflict?
Ну, наверное, часто говорят, что Украина не обстреливала Донбасс, хотя это неправда. Она обстреливала его.
For example, сейчас можно я переведу сначала? For example, everybody says right now that Ukraine is not shelling Donbas, but this is not true. Еще что-то?
Do you know people who have been shelled in recent days, and what did they experience, if you do?
Наверное, точнее скажу имена их, но знаю, что как бы им очень страшно, многие погибают люди.
I'm not gonna say their names, but everybody is scared. A lot of people die.
Myrotvorets from the Foundation to Battle Injustice, you've been tracking this site. It's the so-called Peacemaker, maintained by the Ukrainian government, which is now known as a kill list by many, for several years. How did this site develop, and what do you think the purpose of it is?
The main purpose is to cause the fear, to scare people for the purpose of violating their right of freedom of speech, because there are many journalists on the kill list, and to prevent people from talking the truth, to prevent people from any action, because there are many disagree with what's happening. And this is the way to scare them out, to be worried about their families, to remind them that they have been followed, that they have the people who are behind Myrotvorets, they know about the victims of Myrotvorets, everything about their relatives, about their children. I'm on Myrotvorets myself as well, since I started taking care of Faina's case. The same day when we had press conference, they put me on kill list. They found out information about my mother, and they put my mother on a kill list, even though my mother is not public person and has nothing to do with all these activities, but still.
Faina mentioned that she was not the only child or minor on this list. How many children are on there, and why have they been listed by the Ukrainian government?
There are 327 children total with Faina. Majority of them got on that list because, for example, they went on vacation to Crimea, and Myrotvorets says that it's illegal cross-boarding. There are many children because they've been participating in some patriotic activities like Victory Day in the parade, where you basically worship in the memory of Soviet soldiers. But it didn't matter for Myrotvorets as long as they can keep people in fear, meaning under their control.
And how does the site function? Who's behind it? And how is it updated?
It's headed by Roman Zaitsev, a former employee of the Ukrainian Special Services, and his public organization People's Rare, and it's headed by George Tuka, a Ukrainian statesman and public figure. There's also Anton Gerashchenko, who is advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs. So actually, it's a Ukrainian government behind it. So far, right now, after the conference that we had with journalists who are on that list, because out of almost 400 journalists that whose information is published, 12 has been killed already, including the latest murder of beloved Daria Dugina.
Daria Dugina is the daughter of the nationalist philosopher Alexander Dugin, who were both apparently targeted in a car bombing. Dugin was not in the car of his daughter, and we saw Daria Dugina's name crossed off of this so-called Peacemaker list.
Yes, and it said liquidated in it.
Liquidated.
And over there, we passed information to the FSB. It's in Russia. It's like a agency, the special agency. And we are asking to pronounce this organization as a terrorist organization, and whoever stands behind it must be announced as terrorists. And also, we created an open letter to the UN. And the following day, the Schiller Institute had a similar conference, which I attended as well. And about 250 participants were in it, and they all agreed to sign the petition to the UN. So it's the matter of time right now that how long Myrotvorets will last. The worst part about it, that Myrotvorets servers are located in US, in Virginia. So when in 2016, I think there was a big scandal over Myrotvorets because they hacked almost 5,000 profiles. They got almost 5,000 journalist names through the government web pages who collected people's information, and they published it. And in 2016, US said that they strongly are not happy about what happened, but in the same time they didn't do anything about it. I want to see how now they will respond to what's happening, because if server is located in US, specifically in Virginia, they have to shut it down. And the second question I do have to the American government in this case is, how do they allow this happen at least to their own citizens, because there are so many Americans on that list?
That is a great question that I have, because the list contains an address in Langley, Virginia, in the upper right-hand corner, which also happens to be the home of the Central Intelligence Agency. However, the servers for this website were traced to Brussels. Do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, I've heard that it has something to do with NATO, and the address is like NATO.int. But it still has to be traced and confirmed by, I believe, special services and, the agencies that do this, because whatever we do, we can do only on the field of the law. I just want to tell everyone who is on kill list or who is disagree with what is happening, who understands that this is a criminal website because it does violate the country's law, national laws, international laws. I'm asking those people to sign the petition to the UN so this website can be closed and people finally can be safe, work safe. Like in the case with journalists are just messengers. They are not saying, or at least should not be saying, personal opinion. All what they do, they just pass information, pass what happened. It's like in the middle ages, middle centuries, when the messenger brings bad news, he used to get killed. But we are not in the middle centuries anymore. People cannot be killed for just doing their job, telling the truth. Children cannot be in danger. Think about, for example, not only about nationalists or anybody who has something to do with this conflict. Think about all the criminals that are out there, the human traffickers, pedophiles. They can go on that website, open it, and it's like a menu for those criminals, because there they see the picture, the address, the social network, all kinds of activities, what those people like, where they go. It's completely dangerous and it should be shut down. So I'm asking everyone for help to shut this website down and finally get some privacy, peace, and safety.